Hello and a good morning, good afternoon and a very good evening to you, the good and wonderful people of the tube. POTT, hope you're feeling grand and always one in your world. Hello there everybody. Today's video everybody, we're going to be having some fun with some very loud amplifiers behind me here. Now, I've called this video John Frusciante Stereo Amp Fun because basically the setup I'm using is John Frusciante inspired. I've got my Californication era pedalboard on the floor down there, which I'll show you in a minute. And I have two Marshalls behind me running into two 4x12 cabs. And they're very loud and they sound fantastic. And I'm a bit in love. And if I could gig with this setup, I would. But I think not many places would book us after we had played if I used this setup, as it's very loud. Anyway, so what is the setup? I hear you cry. So on my right here, your left, people tube, I have my Marshall MG. 100 watt head going into my Marshall JSM 900 cabs. These are the same cabs that John used for Californication, by the way, and Stadium Arcadium era. He's using 1960 cabs now, but they're basically the same cab. I don't know why Marshall did that. The JSM 900 cabs and the Marshall 1960 cabs don't seem to have any difference because they're the same speakers, same construction. All it does is say down here in this little gold plaque 1960 or JSM 900. I don't know. Anyway, inside that cab are Celestion G12 75 watt speakers, and it's my magic cab, people tube. If you've been here long enough, you'll know this is my favourite sounding cab I own. I absolutely adore it to bits. So the Marshall MG into this cab today is kind of simulating the Silver Jubilee. It's a little bit more broken up, not massively, but it's kind of edge of breakup, dirty clean tone. And that's what that's doing today. So basically the MG there is kind of just giving me a little bit more of that Silver Jubilee crunch, so to say. Just so you know, I've got it set up as well. So and I do have a bit of reverb on the MG. Not a lot, but I've got a tiny bit of reverb just to distinguish it from a Plexi, which we'll get to in a sec. So let you know I've got this set up. I'm on OD1 channel. And I've got the gain about, well, just past 8 o'clock. So it's very low. But this is a Mark II MG. It hasn't got the silver grille fan fan protector on the back. This is actually the kind of like encased fan, if you will. It's the one with the improved fan. And this one actually has more gain than my other MGs, which are the 2004, 2005. This one is 2006, I believe. And this one's got a little bit more gain in it than the other two, so I have to lower the gain a bit. If this was my other MGs, I'd run the gain on 9 o'clock. But because it's got a little bit more gain, it's down somewhere. It's like 8:30, if you will. That's where the gain's at. Bass, just like John Frusciante, is cranked all the way to 10. So all the pictures I've seen of John's amps, he never runs his bass low, which for a Marshall guy is kind of strange, because Marshalls normally, when you start cranking the bass, get really fat and flubby and don't really sound that great, to be honest with you. But somehow John makes it work, and I don't really know how that works, but it does actually work if you're going for his sound. So John always has his bass on 10, so that's what I've done here. Bass is on 10. Middle, treble, contour are all on 0. They're turned all the way down to nothing. The channel volume is at 10, so turned all the way up. Reverb is at 8 o'clock, and I have the master volume at 9 o'clock, which is very, very, very loud. So that's how I got the MG set up. That's going into this cab. We're miking up the bottom right speaker here with a SM58. I've got 2 different mics as well, just to kind of like give a bit more of a different kind of sound, so to say. John mics up with normally 3 microphones. There's normally 2 on the Plexi cab and 1 on the Jubilee, but I've only got the ability to do 2 mics, I'm afraid, so we can't do 3, sadly. Darn it. Anyway, this should give it a good idea. So, and I say that's just off center. The mic on the JCM 900 cab is just like there's the dust cover on the speaker, and the microphone's kind of aimed there. So that's that. That's basically the Silver Jubilee faux rig, if you will. So moving along here. Here we have my Marshall Studio Vintage Plexi going into my 1968 Marshall cab. This cab has got its original, it's got 3 original 1968 Greenback Celestion speakers. This one here, I believe, I forget now, is a 1971 Celestion. It's a replacement. But again, we're miking up the original today, and we're miking up the bottom left speaker. With an SM57. And I say I've got the Plexi here. So, the Plexi is obviously taking the place of the Marshall Major. So that's what that's doing. And it's a little bit cleaner than the MG. The MG's got a little bit more grit. The Plexi's got a little bit less. It's still, I'll show you individually, but it's got more punch, the Plexi has. It's got a lot more kind of smack in the face than the MG. The MG's a little bit more smoother, so to say. The Plexi's a little bit harsher. And I've got this set up like this. So I've got both channels jumpered. So I'm out of the low impedance on channel 1 into high impedance on channel 2. And then to the pedal board, we're going out of the high impedance on channel 1. No presence, bass all the way up again. No mids, no treble, turned all the way down. I have a high treble at 8 o'clock, and I have the normal channel at 9 o'clock. And again, loud. When both these are on behind you, it's like a physical assault, and it's absolutely fantastic. I love being assaulted by amps, people of the tube. It's as simple as that. I might get on a t-shirt, I like being assaulted by guitar amps. But it's just heavenly. So that's the amps. That's how they're set up. Again, they're both mic'd. The SM57 is slightly off the dust cover as well. So if the dust cover's there, the mic's kind of a bit further over there. So let me, before I get to the pedal board, let me tell you about some of the problems I've had with miking this setup and getting it to sound right. And again, today, people of tube, I'm not trying to nail John Frusciante's tone. I'm not trying to nail it, get it perfect for whatever period, Californication era, by the way, now or Stadium Arcadium or whatever. I'm not trying to nail the tone. I'm just taking kind of like those kind of tools and just running it the way he would and just having fun with it more than anything. I didn't want the pressure of trying to get it nailed on the head in this video. I just wanted to have fun with it. So that's what we're doing. So before I get to the pedal board, couple of problems I had with this setup. So, the Zoom Q8 camera does not have the ability to flip phase on its mixer. So when I initially started miking this video up and I was just test running it, I had the Plexi panned to the right and I had the MG panned to the left. And unfortunately what that was doing was creating a phase flip. So basically, like, the speakers weren't moving together, and they're still not, and that's the point. And I'll talk about how I got around this. So they're not moving together. So what happens is you get like a phase cancellation, and basically the sound becomes really thin and weedy and just sounds rubbish. So to get around that, what I've done is I've stuck both amps straight down the middle. So both amps are coming straight down the middle, and even though they're both running kind of in stereo, they're both kind of like coming at you straight in your face. And I had to turn down the Plexi ever so slightly. So the dominant amp in this setup is the MG, which again goes with my theory on John's setup in the fact that the Silver Jubilee was always the dominant amp. And the Plexi was there to kind of back it up, so to say. Even though the Major was and is a way more powerful amp than the Jubilee, being 200 watts, it's a monster. But I still believe that a lot of the sound we hear, more than anything, is the Jubilee, and the Plexi is blended in, if you will. It's more of a textural thing than a dominant thing, if you get what I mean. Like, so I always feel the Jubilee is the more dominant sound in John's tone. And again, the fact that the Jubilee's come back, it wasn't there when John made his comeback. You know, he had the Master Volume amp and the Major, and now there's the Jubilee again. And he never sounded right. When I was listening to when John first came back and he didn't have a Jubilee, it didn't sound. It was quite harsh. It was very punchy, but it was quite harsh and trebly. And now the Jubilee's back, I think it's added, it kind of smooths it, if you will, because Plexis are quite sharp. You know, a Major is a sharp amp. They're very, very, very punchy, pokey amps, and they're quite sharp sounding. The Jubilee is a lot smoother, and I think that's what's going on. You've got all the spikes of the Major, and the Jubilee just kind of sits over it and calms it down a bit. And again, I've always believed that the Jubilee was more of the amp we hear, than the Major, if you will. Like, you know, I do believe though, like things like around By the Way Live era, Slane Castle era, it's kind of like a 50-50 split, because you've got a lot of clank, which again sounds like a Plexi to me, and before that, Californication era, you're hearing a lot more of a Jubilee. It's a lot more overdriven, and then kind of Stadium Arcadium, it's a little bit more kind of Jubilee. Not as much as the Californication era, but it's still there. And again, John's tone is 2 amps, 3 amps now, but his kind of like tone that we all kind of like associate with him is always 2 amplifiers running together. You know, it really is, and probably mic'd with multiple microphones as well. Mainly 3. It's not just one mic on one thing. And okay, anyway. So that was the main problem I had was phase reversal. So basically, I did want to kind of like have them panned left and right, just to give a bit of a spread so you could hear the difference. But it actually sounded way better when I just stuck them straight down the middle, and I wasn't getting any phase problems. And in all fairness, it just sounds really fat and it sounds amazing. Also, another thing I'm going to do in this video for YouTube is at some point turn the mics off and just let you hear it through the room mic, because by Jovie, is it an amazing thing. Anyway, so that's that. I'm going to plug a couple of different guitars in as well. So in the intro jam, you heard the Tokai. I'm going to plug my Black Strat in at some point. I'm going to plug my Telecaster in at some point. I'm also going to plug my Jag in as well, just to hear the difference in sounds of these 3 different guitars through this setup, because it's amazing. So let's have a look at the pedal board, and I'll tell you a bit more of how it's wired in and that kind of thing. So yeah, let's move down onto the floor. Okay, a bit of a tube. So this is my Californication era replica pedal board. So left to right, start with the Chorus Ensemble by Past Effects. Absolutely love this thing. It's amazing. Just fantastic. So let you know, I've got the Chorus Ensemble set up as well. I have it in the high mode, like John does. John always runs it in high mode, and I have level control at 12 o'clock, and it's kind of... the level control varies depending on how I feel. Sometimes I'll have it about 11 o'clock, but mostly it's at 12 o'clock. So that's how I've got that. The chorus intensity dial I have at about 10:30, so it's between 10 and 11 o'clock. Then vibrato, I have the depth set at 3 o'clock, and I have the rate turned all the way down. Invariably, I only ever really use the chorus, though. I do love the vibrato, though, but this pedal's absolutely amazing. And again, trying to get an original C1 is ridiculous. Yeah, trying to find one of those things is really hard. So, past effects, I love this pedal. It's amazing. Also, people tube, this is where the 2 amps are coming into. So, that is the MG, that's the Plexi, and basically they're coming in here stereo, and then coming out of here in mono. So, stereo, and then in here, magic is happening, and it's sending it to mono to go to the rest of the pedals and out to the guitar. So, it is kind of a stereo mono rig. It's not true stereo, if you will, because both amps are seeing all this. But it's not wet, dry, wet, or anything like that. It is literally kind of like... It really is a stereo mono rig. It's not really true stereo. It's kind of both. But like I say, both amps are coming in here into the outputs of the past effects, and then we go into the rest. So that's how I've got the chorus pedal set up, and basically that's where the preamp of the chorus ensemble is set, 12 o'clock, in the high mode. You can also get the similar effect if you put it in low mode and turn it all the way up. If it basically is high mode at 12 o'clock. Anyway, from there, going into the Ibanez WH10 wah, this is a V2. You know, it's a need for John Frusciante replica pedal boards. You know, you can get around this pedal if you can use like a Vox pedal, but I'm trying to get like, you know, it to look right, so that's there. One thing to note, PeelTube, I have turned down the gain dial, the what's it called, the depth dial on the side of a pedal. It's actually at about 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock on the side of a pedal. And you can see in the Californication era, John messes with this a lot. He invariably, it's turned down to about where it is now, 1, 2 o'clock. But sometimes he turns it up, sometimes he turns it down. It's messed with a bit. Anyway, so that's the wah pedal. Does what it does. From there, Phase 90. This is not the script Phase 90. This is the block logo. I don't know what you'd call it. I call it a block logo MXR Phase 90. I don't know if that's what it's called, but it's got like the square MXR. Got the speed, you know, simple as can be pedal. I've got it turned all the way down, much in the same way I feel John ran his Phase 90 when he had it. It was just turned all the way down. And you'll notice as well, these are, well, depending on your orientation, after or before the wah pedal. And this is very important. This is the way it has to be set up. So from a Phase 90, we're going to the FZ3 fuzz. Love this fuzz pedal. It's absolutely evil. I have no idea how John set his up, so I've just kind of approximated. Again, I'm not trying to nail his tone, I'm just trying to have fun. So I've got this pedal set up with the level all the way up. Tone is at 10 o'clock and fuzz is at 12 o'clock. And that just sounds amazing. And then we're moving on to the legendary, the one, the only, the man, the myth, the legend, the Boss DS2. One of my favourite pedals of all time. Can't be without this pedal. Absolutely love it to bits. And if you took it away from me, I would just cry. So that's the last pedal. And how I've got it set is I've got it set up in mode 2, which is the John Frusciante mode. Mode 1 is Kurt Cobain. Mode 2 is John Frusciante. And I've got everything set to max. So level, tone, distortion, all of them cranked. And then we go out to the guitar. So that's it. Like I say, so, you know, signal chain wise, MG, Plexi, chorus, wah, phase, fuzz, distortion to the guitar. And I know some people are going to say, Dave, you're doing it the wrong way around. Yes, I know, but I don't see it starting at the guitar. I always see signal chain starting at the amp. It's just the way it's always been for me. So anyway, people tube. So I reckon we should make some noise now. That's the setup. There's not much else to say. Let's make some noise. I'm going to plug in the black Strat and be rowdy. Let's plug some different guitars in. Let's see what happens. I might plug a hollow body in as well, just to kind of see if we can simulate the Gretsch. Although John didn't really run the Gretsch through his Marshalls during the Californication era. It's through the Fender Showman. but he did. I'm pretty sure he ran it through the Marshalls later, but I don't know. Who knows? Anyway, let's go. Let's have some fun. Forgot to mention with the tube. So, got the black Strat on ready to go. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to show you the amps individually. So I'm going to show you the MG first, and I'll show you the Plexi, and I'll bring the MG back in to give you all of it. So MG first, and then the MG will go off on standby. Then the Plexi, you'll hear the Plexi, and then you'll hear the MG come back on, and it'll be glorious. So, well, hopefully. So let's make some noise. Okay, BooberTube, I'm going to turn the mics off now and let you hear it on the room audio. I'm going to move the camera over there so it's kind of like bang in the middle of both amps. And yeah, let you hear it without close mics, let you hear it in the room. Because I'll tell you what, when you kick on that DS2 and on the bass pickup of the guitar and you hit a power chord, it could kill. Let's put it that way. It's amazing. Okay, POTT, there you go. That's it. I'm calling it there. This is too much fun. No. Basically, I'm going to keep doing this all day. Basically, is what I'm going to say. Anyway, this one thing to note is I dread to think how loud John Frusciante is on stage. I know his old tech Dave Lee said that John doesn't realise how loud he is because he wears in-ears now, but my golly, because that man doesn't run his amps quiet. Let's put it that way. So, and this is loud. I mean, this is. I would say this is borderline gig volume, if not gig volume. I'm playing at. But it's the way it feels, and that is just. It's just amazing the way it makes you feel. Like it's such a physical presence, like, and it's like borderline assaulting you, like how it when it just gets you and it's just ace. Oh, I wish you were here, POTT, but as like I always say these things, because if you're in the room, you get to feel it, you get to play it, you really feel it. You can't feel it through a YouTube video as much as you can when you're in the room with it, and it really is special. You know, I love big amps. I don't really like small amps. You know, I obviously I love my Boss Katanas and my AC30 and my Super Reverb and Deluxe and whatnot. But I love stuff like this more. I always have loved heads and cabs and double stacks and 4 speakers instead of 1 or 2. And there's just something about 100-watt amps as well. I mean, I know the Plexi's not a 100-watt amp. It's only 20, but it's louder than some 100-watt amps I've played through. You know, it's so... I had to run this in low mode as well, people of the tube. Just to let you know, it's not running in high mode, which makes it even louder than that. But it's fantastic. It really is. I say, and the combination of these 2 amps is like heaven. It really is. They complement each other so well. They're definitely out of phase. Not when you're in front of them, but if you're miking them up, they're definitely out of phase. But again, I don't have the ability to flip phase on the camera, which when John's amps are running, if they are flipped phase, then they can do that from the desk or mixing desk or wherever they are, if they're live or in the studio or whatever. So they can do that there. I can't do that, sadly. But either way, hopefully the sound, again, as usual, my biggest fear in videos is the sound comes across really badly, but hopefully it came across okay, POTT. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. Kicking on the DS2 with these things is just immense. It really is immense. It's just something else. It really is. And then you stand on the WH10. It's just like, oh, Lord. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this vid, POTT, on, let's say, John Frusciante amp, stereo amp fun. Because, like I said, I'm not trying... This isn't been a video where I've been trying to absolutely nail John Frusciante's tone from any era. I'm basically just setting them up, getting an approximation, and just having fun. You know, I'm not trying to nail it. I'm not trying to go, that's exactly like it was, because it isn't. But it doesn't matter. This video is all about the fun of running 2 very loud amplifiers into 2 very big cabinets through a period-correct Californication pedal board. Well, period-correct-ish. Correct pedals, let's put it that way. They're not all kind of like vintage pedals. Anyway, but correct pedals. And then with Strats, Teles, Jags, whatever. And it was just about having fun. You know, and that's what it should be at the end of the day when you're doing this kind of thing. It should be fun. You know, you don't want to approach it with kind of like the idea of like, you know, I've got to do it, like, you know, whatever. I reckon it's a lot. You get further if you're having fun. If it's not fun, it just tends to falter, I feel. Anyway, let me know your thoughts on this in the comment section below, POTT. Let me know your thoughts on the sound and everything like that. And yeah, I will see you again very soon for another video. This setup is heaven. Like I say, if I could cart this around to every gig, I would. I just would. I mean, I can see why John has the amps he has, because, you know, somebody set it up for him. But again, if I had somebody doing that for me, that's... I would have to. I would have to have something like this. I just love the way it feels. I love the way it sounds. It's just everything. And again, there is something to be said for loud. There just is. You know, it's important. You know, obviously ear protection is important, but loud amps are really important. You know, it's all well and good like playing through Kempers and stuff like that through studio monitors and and not having amps on stage live or whatever. But I feel it when I've done that. It feels so absent. I mean, I don't mind doing it, and I understand it's kind of a need, unfortunately, in this day and age to be able to do that. But I miss this, you know, and that's why when we go out gigging with a trio, I always have a 412 cab. I mean, granted, I've had to take 2 speakers out of it, but I always have loud amps. I can't be without a cab behind me and an amp that's loud behind me. It just feels weird. And there is something about this that I feel is kind of like missing in certain live performances these days. And again, I don't know. When it's not there, it's wrong. It doesn't feel right to me, you know. Yes, modelers sound good, but they don't feel right, in my opinion. That's just me. Modelers sound great, but they just don't feel like a cranked amp. They just don't. There's something missing in them. Anyway, that's another video altogether. And again, that's just my opinion, people of the tube. Yeah, that's another video altogether in that one. Anyway, thank you very much indeed for watching, POTT. I'll see you again very soon for another one. Have a great morning, afternoon, good evening. If you like the channel, like the videos I do here, please consider becoming a patron at Patreon. Links down there, as well as links to my Bandcamp, where you can go and listen to my music. Other than that, thank you very much indeed for watching, and goodbye now. I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I did filming it. This has been so much fun. Stressful at the beginning, trying to get it right, get the phase thing corrected. But once that was sorted, my God, this has been fun. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this. See you later. Goodbye.